Hello there! Welcome to Blue Card Training, the Fort Collins Cat Rescue and Spay Neuter Clinic. This training is meant for volunteers that are interested in working with shy cats. Thank you so much for signing up for this Blue Card Training. We really appreciate your commitment to taking care of our blue or shy card cats. After this training, you will take the quiz that is included in this form. Once you have passed the quiz, you'll be able to sign up for a 30 to 60 minute hands-on training with either a staff member or another volunteer. Once you've completed the hands-on portion, you'll then be Blue Card certified and you'll receive a button that says that you are a Blue Card cat handler. So, what does Blue Card mean? Blue Card cats typically are shy, and that usually means that they're nervous or fearful. The cat doesn't quickly turn to aggression due to their fear, but they do need extra care and attention to feel comfortable in the shelter environment. They need more time to build trust and confidence, trust in you, and also confidence in their abilities to handle the situation that they're in. There are extra considerations when caring for Blue Card cats. By now you've been in Shelter Cat Care 1 for at least 8 hours, and you're familiar with our Blue Card cats and the behaviors that they exhibit in the shelter. You know that Blue Card cats are the ones that typically are hiding from us. They're underneath the coranda beds or inside paper bags. They're the ones that aren't actively seeking attention, and they'd rather tuck up underneath their coranda bed and peek out at you than rub up against the cage bars and meow. But just because they're hiding doesn't mean that they don't want attention. A lot of times they do, they just don't know how to ask for it. But when you are giving them attention, you need to make sure that you respect their body language and the signs that they're telling you that they're not happy with what you're doing. That's the purpose of this training, is to show you some signs and signals that shy cats may show you in order to tell you to stop when they have reached their threshold. What's their threshold? Well, for each cat it's going to be a little bit different, but you'll know when you've hit a cat's threshold because they usually tell you to stop, either by a swat, or a hiss, or a growl, or withdrawing completely to avoid or affection. There's lots of reasons why a Blue Card cat could be fearful in the shelter environment. Can you think of some reasons why a cat would be nervous or fearful in the shelter? Here are some examples of why a cat could be fearful in the shelter. Loud noises, for instance. Cage doors are slamming all the time. Dishes are going in and out of their cages and banging around. There's people talking constantly, and other cats meowing. There's also an unknown social structure in the shelter environment. Some of the cats have never been around other cats, and so interacting with new cats and hearing them meow or seeing them can upset them. There's also new people involved, new people with new smells that are scary. There's also bright lights and medical care, more medical care than they're used to in their home. If you were brought to a brand new place with new scary smells and sounds and sights, and suddenly you're being picked up and poked and prodded by needles and other objects, wouldn't you be scared? Adjusting to change is hard for cats. The new environment and the new routine is incredibly scary for them. This all leads to the cat's perception. So think about a cat brought into the shelter, and the first time that they see a human that's not their human, or the first time that they've ever seen a human. What do you think a less confident cat sees, smells, hears, and feels when we as humans come towards them? If you thought something along the lines of a big scary monster, you're right. To cats, we're big scary monsters. We're new people that they're unsure about. Therefore, they're not confident. They're afraid. So let's do what we can to avoid being big scary monsters. And please always keep in mind all aspects of the cat's perception when interacting with them, and how you can help reduce their fear in the shelter environment. We're now going to watch a series of videos created by Maddie's Fund. These videos are all about basic cat body language. The next set of videos will be about more specific, subtle signs of fear in cats.
Body language is a kind of nonverbal communication where thoughts, intentions, or feelings are expressed by physical behaviors. There's no short supply of this form of communication for cats. Cats use every part of their body to display their emotion, from the movement of their paws, to the placement of their ears, to the direction of their body, to the posture of their back. Happiness, contentment, fear, and aggression, and many more are all feelings that we can interpret from the way they speak with their body. The contentment of the rhythmic movements of their paws when kneading their person's belly, the direction of body parts like flattened ears when afraid, a forward body position when displaying interest in a new toy, and a body posture of an arched back coupled with a withdrawn head when responding fearfully to a perceived threat are all examples of how cats use their bodies to let us know exactly what's on their mind. A cat's body language consists of 4 components: body movements, like swatting a perceived threat; positioning of body parts, like the erect tail demonstrated by the cat in the picture; body position, whether it's forward, centered, or backward; and body postures and facial expressions, from cowering and snarling at a foe to curling up with a loved one. Distance-reducing body movements typically occur when a cat first approaches a novel item. The sequence involves first a slow approach, then multiple short sniffs, followed by tentative pawing of the object. Cats investigate things more slowly than dogs and will demonstrate distance-reducing behavior with a cautious approach. Dogs typically run up to the object and investigate immediately, whereas cats usually apply more caution. Sometimes this might involve hiding for a while, then moving back into sight of the object, possibly staring at it for some time longer, before showing the courage to finally approach and investigate. There is a conflict of competing motivations in the body language during this type of approach. A battle between the motivation to approach and investigate to satisfy the cat's curiosity and withdrawal to remain safe. Curiosity usually wins. Kneading is when a cat rhythmically pushes out and then against an object using his front paws in a paddling motion. The object kneaded is typically something soft, like a pillow, a person's lap, or even the stomach of a tolerant dog. It's believed that when cats knead, they are content and is a sign of a relaxed and happy cat. The fact that they often accompany kneading with purring supports this assumption. This behavior typically precedes the cat settling down for a nap. Kneading is instinctive to kittens and adults. For adults, it's presumably a remnant of kittenhood, mimicking the action used to stimulate milk let down by the mother during nursing. When a cat contacts his nose with that of another four-legged creature, or part of a human face, he is exhibiting a friendly greeting via touch. Cats first learn nose touching as young kittens. Blind at birth, newborn kittens have fully developed touch receptors in their noses that guide them to make contact with their mother. As a cat matures, a nose touch tells him where the other cat has been and whether or not she's part of his family by sniffing the scent glands around the lips. Nose touching remains an integral part of a cat's friendly greeting gesture throughout his life, of both four-legged and two-legged creatures. When a cat rubs her face against objects, those with a pulse and those without, this is known as bunting. It is one more way for the cat to leave her scent to mark territory, or just let you know that she cares. Bunting involves the cat rubbing up against an object with her forehead, cheeks, or chin, and sometimes all three. When cats do so, they are leaving secretions from their enlarged sebaceous scent glands located in the face. Because these glands are also found in the ear canals, the base of the tail, and around the anus, this bunting behavior can be extended from head to tail. This is seen when a cat rubs against an object like a chair or a person's leg in one smooth swoop of her head, back, and tail. When this behavior is directed at a person or another animal, it is translated as an affectionate gesture, reserved for bonding, social, comforting, and friendly purposes. Or the cat may be seeking attention when she butts her head up against you and then tucks it down or turns to the side. This may be her way of asking for one of those wonderful neck or head scratches which you have perfected. Rolling over is when a cat turns on her side or back and exposes her abdomen. The meaning of this totally depends on context. It can be due to happiness, response to a smell, such as catnip, or absolute fear. To decipher the reason for rolling over, look at the timing, location, and circumstances in which it happens. If it occurs after some intensive petting, then the cat is probably very happy to be the object of your affection. If sunshine is the stimulus for this behavior, then she's just soaking in its warmth. Rolling over can also be a response to a smell, like catnip. In this situation, not only does the cat roll over, but she usually flails back and forth on her back, often rubbing her head against it. When cats are absolutely terrified and feel there is nowhere to run, as an ultimate defensive gesture, they may roll on their back so the claws from all 4 feet can be used as weapons against whatever the threat is. Cats are not small dogs, and most cats who demonstrate this behavior, even when happy for your affection, are not seeking a tummy rub and may actually take offense to it. Kitty rolling usually serves as a plead for attention, a way to spread her scent when she rubs her head and cheeks on the floor, as well as providing a self-massage. Assuming a cat is asking for a tummy rub the way dogs do when they roll over could lead to some serious damage to the offending hand. You have perfected. No one signaling system can be correctly interpreted without considering the entire animal. It can be very useful to look at the information communicated by the individual body parts. Important messages are transmitted throughout the entire body. To learn what the cat is trying to tell us, we can take a moment to look at several body parts individually, then put each message together along with the context and environment in order to hear the message the cat is trying to convey. Cats have super flexible spines due to the 30 vertebrae in their back, plus another 18 to 23 in their tails. This is why cats usually land on their feet, and how they twist and stretch their bodies into seemingly impossible places. They also use this flexibility as a way to communicate their emotions. When a cat curves his spine, accompanied with erection of his fur, called piloerection, it typically means the cat is feeling threatened or is in a state of high arousal. As this feeling escalates and an escape route cannot be found, it is likely that the cat will strike. This is associated with a defensive threat. As this stance progresses, the cat takes on a typical Halloween cat appearance. The cat leans back, presenting the side of the body to the perceived aggressor rather than a straightforward view. In addition, the ears are usually flattened, the corners of the mouth are pulled back to bare the teeth, the whiskers are drawn against the side of the head, and the nose is wrinkled. All of these gestures make the cat appear larger and more threatening, and are meant to cause the potential enemy to look elsewhere for a less daunting victim. When a cat raises her spine and her fur is flat, it can be a sign of accepting affection, or just simply stretching after a long sleep. If a cat arches her back in response to your stroking hand, she's accepting affection and inviting you to come even closer. This is often followed with a purr and a headbutt of your hand. Like us, cats stretch after spending hours of dream time basking in the sun. She will usually stretch her paws in front of her, elongating her body with her rump and tail in the air, and then pull back up into a high arch. A cat's ears are cone-shaped, which makes them an amplifier for sound signals, and have corrugations, ridges and troughs, within the ear, which adds reflections to the spectrum of incoming sounds. Cats also have 32 individual muscles in each ear, enabling them to move each ear independently forward, backward, and up and down. They can even swivel their ears separately, nearly 180 degrees, to locate sounds. This mobility allows the position of the cat's ears to reflect their moods, acting as a gauge to anticipate and avoid potential problems, as well as be able to respond to acoustic clues with better discrimination abilities than either dogs or humans. Generally, the more a cat's ears are turned sideways, backwards, and downwards, the greater the cat's arousal. There are many things that capture a cat's curiosity: the lens of a camera, the voice of a familiar person, the movement of little critters outside. When a cat's interest has been piqued, he is unable to feign disinterest because his ears will betray him by assuming a straight, upright, forward-facing position. This type of ear position is often referred to as airplane ears because they look a bit like airplane wings jutting from each side of the cat's head. The cat does this as a way of protecting the ears, keeping them out of range of things like claws and teeth in preparation for what might come next. Consider airplane ears to be early ear warnings to back off and stop whatever prompted the cat to feel threatened. The less backward positioning of the ears, along with other expressions like a set neck and shoulders, slightly lowered head, and clamping of the mouth, indicate a more confident and offensively aggressive cat. Like airplane ears, consider the backward positioning of the ears to be early ear warnings to back off and stop whatever has prompted the cat to respond in this way. A cat's ears that are relaxed, pointed forward, and slightly to the side indicate that she is content. When the ears are in this position, the cat is in relax mode, with a sense of well-being and no signs of aggression or fear. A cat's ears are highly mobile, and they are able to rotate them independently of one another. This allows cats to locate sound more accurately, distinguishing even the slightest differences in sound. The ability to swivel his ears independently of one another provides a cat with a method of directional hearing. This heightened hearing enables a cat to determine a great deal about his prey before he even sees the critter. He is able to move his body in one direction while pointing his ears in another. Even during cat naps, a cat will pivot his ears toward even subtle noises. Twitching occurs when a cat moves one or both ears with a sudden jerking motion. It is typically an indication that she is agitated, nervous, or there is a physical irritant of the ear. If it is persistent, it could be a sign of a medical problem, and you should take the cat to the veterinarian. Flicking or twitching ears indicate rising agitation or the presence of an irritant. The sideways-facing ears flutter or vibrate very quickly in an involuntary reaction to high arousal or to an irritant in or around the ear. If the cause of the twitching is arousal and the source of it does not go away, the cat may progress to threat or attack. If the cause is an irritant that cannot be identified and/or removed, then the cat should be examined by a veterinarian. A cat's eyes can tell us a lot about her mood and intentions, particularly the pupils and the intensity of the gaze. The eyes might be the most unquestionable signal a cat can give, but they can also be difficult for us humans to see. The changes can happen so quickly that it's often hard for us to discern them. Although cats cannot see in complete darkness, they only require approximately 1/5 of the light that we do to see, which is why they see so much better in dim light. Like us, the normal pupillary response of cats is to dilate, or enlarge, their pupils in darkness to make the most of available light, and to constrict their pupils to slits in the light of day to restrict the amount of light reaching their retinas. However, the size of the pupils also reflect a cat's frame of mind, dilating with fear, constricting with irritation or offensive, confident aggression, and taking on an oval shape when relaxed. A fearful cat's pupils dilate as an instinctive reaction, permitting in more light from more sources and providing her with a wider field of vision. This allows the cat to see more of her surroundings and possible danger. Enlarged pupils can also indicate an excited cat, or it could be the display of a surprised cat. It's not unusual for a cat's pupils to fully dilate when they are really excited, like during a playful session of roughhousing with a housemate. Be aware that at first glance a cat might look like he is resting, curled up in the back of a cage with his legs and tail tucked, but has dilated pupils. This is a state of high stress and hypervigilance, often called learned helplessness or feigned sleep. When a cat's pupils are slightly off round or oval, it reflects a state of relaxation. In addition to oval pupils, half-closed eyes or droopy eyelids also indicate a relaxed and trusting kitty. Even if the cat is on the brink of falling asleep at the time, the presence of a neutral, oval pupil and droopy eyelids is still a compliment because the cat is showing you that he's comfortable and trusting enough to take a nap in your presence. Slowly opens and closes her eyes, displaying languid blinks toward the object of her attention. She is communicating affection and a sign of trust. This can also be considered a calming signal to diffuse tension. In the feline world, closing one's eyes in the presence of another is a sign of trust, indicating the cat feels safe and comfortable, or trying to indicate that she means no harm and comes with no threats. It conveys the opposite meaning of a stare. By blinking slowly at a cat, you're communicating that you are aware of her presence and pose no threat. So consider returning the gesture the next time you are the objects of a cat's blink. Although people can use direct eye contact to show affection, most cats find it threatening. This is why people who are disinterested in cats and do not make eye contact with them often find that they are the objects of the cat's affection when they visit a household with cats. Their lack of eye contact tells the cats it's okay to get close, whereas people who like cats unwittingly keep them away with their friendly stare. Staring is used between cats as a way of establishing the pecking order. It's more likely to be seen in high-ranking, confident cats. Lower-ranking cats will usually look away and withdraw in response, and humans should imitate this response as well. Head carriage describes the position of the cat's head. It can range from being held up, stretched forward, lowered, turned sideways, leaning away, and pulled back. It's another helpful sign of feline communication, especially when combined with the position of the back and legs. A head held up, along with a back straight posture and a tail that is out and behind, is generally characteristic of a relaxed, alert cat. Head carriage describes the position of the cat's head. It can range from being held up, stretched forward, lowered, turned sideways, leaning away, and pulled back. It's another helpful sign of feline communication, especially when combined with the position of the back and legs. A head held up, along with a back straight posture and a tail that is out and behind, is generally characteristic of a relaxed, alert cat. A head stretched forward is ready for contact. Other gestures will indicate whether the encounter is intended to be aggressive, like straight legs and elevated hindquarters, or friendly, like a straight back and relaxed rear legs. A cat who feels fearful typically will lower her head as a sign of withdrawal and an attempt to avoid interaction. A slightly lowered head carriage can also be used by a cat on the offensive. This is usually coupled with slowly walking directly toward the subject of his angst, with his eyes fixed on the target. When meeting another cat who is being very persistent, the cat who wants to avoid contact will raise her head high and pull it back. A cat trying to diffuse the situation might intentionally turn her head away during an interaction. She uses these gestures to not provoke or be provoked when encountering another cat. A cat's mouth is normally kept closed. This tells us very little about a cat's motivation and one of the reasons cats have a reputation for being hard to read. After all, they're not capable of giving us a reassuring smile or a concerning frown. However, when he opens it, whether it be to drop his lower jaw savoring odors and pheromones as a precursor to vocalization, a way of exposing his teeth to a perceived threat, or a lackadaisical yawn, we can sometimes learn more about his emotions. The flamen response is when a cat sniffs an odor source, then raises his head with lips drawn back, nose wrinkled, and mouth partially opened for inhalation, often holding this position for several seconds. This action allows cats to access the scent organ located above the roof of their mouth. The flamen response is also called gape or lip curl. It helps the transfer of pheromones, that is, a chemical signal intended to leave a message for another individual and other scents, into the scent organ located above the roof of the mouth, called the vomeronasal or Jacobson's organ. This is done via a duct which exits just behind the front teeth of the cat. Cat's flamen, or grimace, when the tongue traps pheromones, then flick transfers it to the duct in the roof of the mouth. This intensifies the odor and provides more information about the object he's sniffing. What he does with that information, well, we'll never know. A cat opens his mouth by separating his upper and lower jaws. This action is usually combined with some type of sound, like meowing for attention or chirping in contentment. The sound elicited when a cat opens his mouth, without exposing his teeth, is typically one that he uses to vocally communicate a message he wants you to hear. This can be things like grabbing your attention with incessant meows directed toward his empty food bowl, an outcry of chattering in response to the birds located right in front of the picture window, or the tender chirping of contentment as you both engage in a mutual love fest. When a cat's mouth is open with teeth bared, the lips pull back, causing the nose to wrinkle. This is commonly accompanied by hissing and is an indication of intimidation and defensive aggression. The combination of an open mouth with exposed teeth and hissing is often used to fend off other felines, but it can also be directed at people if the cat feels threatened, constrained, or mistreated. Panting is open-mouthed, rapid breathing. Unlike dogs, cats rarely pant. They pant due to anxiety, fear, stress, or excitement, usually in response to environmental causes, such as car rides or heat. Panting can be a serious red flag for health and/or welfare issues. Whatever is causing the cat to pant should be fixed immediately. If panting is excessive or the cat appears in distress, it's important to identify the underlying cause, as panting may be a symptom of a more serious condition, such as nasal blockage, heartworm disease, head trauma, or drug poisoning. If the panting appears to be in response to heat or fear, the cat should be removed from the source and continued to be monitored. If it continues, a veterinarian should be consulted. In many cases, feline panting, especially if accompanied by other symptoms such as coughing or shallow breathing, is considered to be abnormal and is treated as a medical emergency. When a cat's mouth is relaxed, the lips are not pulled back and the upper and lower jaws are not separated. The mouth is in its normal position. The cat is in a state of repose. Although a relaxed mouth does not give us a lot of information about the cat's emotions, it does let us know that she is neither positively nor negatively aroused. When a cat opens her mouth wide, seemingly involuntarily, with a prolonged deep breath and sighing or heavy exhalation, she is yawning. It can indicate anything from drowsiness to contentment, stress, or ambivalence. When a cat yawns, her whole face appears to split open. The cats in the pictures may look angry, but they're actually just yawning. Many cats partly flatten their ears when they yawn widely. Cats may yawn when they get ready to take their afternoon nap, or as part of their wake-up routine as they stretch. They may also do it as a reflection of the pleasure of the moment. Lastly, yawning can be a displacement signal in response to stress. When interpreting the meaning of the yawn, it's important to consider the cat's surroundings and other communication signals exhibited by the cat. This tells a cat's tail is like a big punctuation mark at the end of her body that uses its extreme mobility for diverse communication. The position of a cat's tail can be up, down, or in between. The shape can be curved or straight. The motion can be still, fluid, twitching, or thrashing. Even the position of the fur on the cat's tail has something to say. A cat's tail aids in the understanding of her psyche, her contentment, excitement, affection, anger, fear, and interest. The movement of a cat's tail can stem from just a twitch of the tip to erratically whipping the tail from side to side. The cause can range from pensiveness to real or mock annoyance to just a play gesture saying, "I'm gonna get you." The more emotionally charged the cat is, the faster the tail will thrash. A thrashing tail can mean a number of things and varies from cat to cat. Once again, it is important to consider the other communication signals exhibited by the cat to determine what she may be feeling. In general, if the tail is slightly flicking, she is indecisive or contemplative. If it is whipping suddenly and rapidly, she is anxious and/or agitated. If it's thrashing constantly, she is critiquing the surroundings. If it's thrashing with a thump, she is annoyed and frustrated, which could escalate to an attack. Remember that a wagging tail of a cat does not mean the same thing as that of a dog. Usually it's quite the opposite. While the wag of a dog's tail is an invitation for interaction, a wag of a cat's tail at the same velocity is a sign to stay away. A cat's whiskers are much more than just decoration. Nerve endings attached to the shaft base of the whiskers detect the smallest of touch sensations, even shifts in air movement, providing an intricate sensory feedback for the cat. This helps her navigate easily, even at night. In addition, a cat's whiskers are also highly mobile and able to be held in multiple positions in response to the level of arousal as well as function. In the normal state, when the cat is calm and comfortable, the whiskers are held slightly to the side, less spread out, and loose and droopy. This can be interpreted as friendliness or indifference. When a cat pulls his whiskers back against his cheeks and bunches them together, it is usually an indication of fear. When in a fight or just eating, this is a way of getting the whiskers out of the way and protecting them. As a cat becomes more inquisitive about something in her surroundings, the whiskers pivot forward in front of the muzzle and fan out. When the whiskers are rotated forward, the cheek pads also swell out as the muscles pull the whiskers into position. This is done when excited, showing interest, or hunting prey. Body position is a determination of where the cat is putting his weight. This information will tell us where the cat is likely to move next. When a cat's putting her weight forward, she is likely moving, or about to move, toward the object of her affection, curiosity, or apprehension. When a cat's weight is centered, he is not likely to move forwards or backwards, at least until something catches his attention. This is how cats spend most of their days, comfortable and content. The cat could be standing in awe of the world, sitting and watching it go by, lying down curled into a ball in extreme comfort, or contemplating just the right moment to move forward or away. When all the cat's weight is backwards, he is on the defensive. If an escape route is available, he is more likely to retreat through it rather than attack, because he is afraid. With this body position, the cat usually hunkers down while backing up and leaning away from the threat. Sometimes he will deflect his head to one side, giving the appearance of a sideways glance. If pushed, it is likely that the cat will let out a hiss or a growl. Body postures and facial expressions are additional ways cats communicate their frame of mind. Body postures concentrate on the messages conveyed by the whole body, combining some of the various body parts and body positions, like arching the back and leaning backwards. Facial expressions focus on the messages revealed by combining some of the body parts located on the head, including eyes, ears, head carriage, mouth, and whiskers, like dilated eyes and flattened ears. As with facial expressions, a continuum, or physical suite of body postures, reflects varying gradations in motivational state. This continuum reviews many of the body parts and positions discussed in other sections, putting them together to demonstrate common messages a cat might give. Remember that body language is fluid and changes quickly. You will find that a cat might move along this line of the continuum to communicate his message in a given situation. As you can see from the labels in the margins, this describes cats from a confident and relaxed state to a highly aroused, fearful, and aggressive cat. Note the positions of the back, ears, whiskers, head, tail, body, and the level of piloerection in each state along this continuum.
So when you're providing care for our blue card cats, please remember the cat's perspective. Move slowly, no matter what you're doing. When you're cleaning or moving the wash rag around their cage, or putting the food dish in, changing or fixing their bedding, or touching their litter box, please move slowly. Also try to be quiet. Try not to make a lot of noise with the litter box, the cage doors, food dishes, toys, and even with your voice. Try to keep yourself quiet, calmer, speak a little bit lower and slower as well. And remember that the cats have a very good sense of smell, much better than ours. Whenever possible, keep some of the items in the cage that have the cat's scent. That includes their bedding and litter box, which is especially important for them. And remember, the cats can also smell other cats on you. So if you've been touching a lot of cats or using a lot of hand sanitizer, it might be time to wash your hands and get some of that smell off. If you do find yourself in a situation where you need to pick up a fearful cat, please remember to be patient. Sometimes if you just wait them out and lure them with treats, you can get them into a place where you can pick them up easier. Also, try to use a towel. Keep their face and hind end covered, and that will distract them from visual stimulants. Hold them firmly and securely and close to your body so that they can't jump away from you and hurt themselves or you. Remember that if they get scared enough, they may bite or swat. That is a sign of increased fear and aggression, and please get a staff member if they get to that point. And if you are not comfortable grabbing the cat or picking them up, please always grab a staff member, especially if they're underneath the cage banks or between the wall and a bank of cages. It's really important that you build trust and confidence with each cat that you work with, but especially our shy cats. Remember to learn to speak their language. Listen to what they're telling you. Watch their ears, their whiskers, their tails. Make sure that you're paying attention to their eyes and the way their pupils are dilating. Don't forget to slow blink at them. Tell them that you love them. Also make sure that you're approaching them at a pace that works for the cat. Watch their body language to see if you can move forward or if you need to move back. See if they're using avoidant behavior, pulling away from you when you're approaching too quickly, or if they're just tired of having your hand in their space. If they get upset or have a bad experience, please make sure to add 3 clothespins to their cage so that they have a timeout for the rest of the day. And now we're almost done with the training. The next step is to take the quiz that's here on this page. After you complete the quiz and pass, you'll be able to schedule a 30 to 60 minute hands-on training with another staff member or volunteer. If you have any questions about cat body language, please feel free to post them on our volunteer Facebook group, or ask a staff member or another volunteer with a blue card handling button. And if you have any questions regarding the quiz or the next steps, please make sure to send an email to volunteer@FCCRSNC.org. And of course, we have extra credit if you want to watch the entirety of the webinar. Thank you so much for attending this blue card training. We really appreciate your passion and commitment to taking care of our shy cats.